What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and 2016 is a very tender year, especially if you live in the United States of America, because we have the political debates going on right now to see who is going to be our next president for the next 4 years, which is definitely a big decision that we are going to have to make. So, of course, if you are a founder of a virtual reality company, the best thing you can do is put your money towards a controversial political movement, especially when you're trying to build your brand. Why, Palmer Luckey? Why? So for those that might not necessarily be aware of what is going on, Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus, most famously associated with the Oculus Rift until this story broke, has been found to have donated $10,000 to Nimble America. Now that doesn't seem to be much of a big deal on the surface. However, Nimble America is an organization that supports the alt-right movement, and that is a very, very, very controversial movement that's going on in America right now. So the first thing you need to know about the alt-right movement is that they all wholeheartedly support Donald Trump for president, Trump and Pence, however you want to say it. That is the first thing you need to know. The second is that they're all pretty much trolls of the internet. They don't like feminist movements. Pretty much anything that is considered politically correct, they flip it on its head and then they endorse all of that stuff. Now, a couple of names that are associated with the alt-right movement are Milo Yiannopoulos and Breitbart, the website. So you've probably heard about them whenever Leslie Jones was having her nudes leaked on Twitter earlier in the summer, which is, I don't want to talk about that. But they're all very controversial, and in general, they're just frowned upon in society. No one really likes the alt-right movement aside from the alt-right movement themselves. So now, needless to say, the public's perception of Luckey has gone down a good bit this past week. People are not happy with the fact that he donated $10,000 to these people. And on top of that, since he is associated directly with Oculus Rift, people aren't so happy with the Oculus Rift either, as if they were to begin with. Now, in a Facebook post, which I will link down below, Palmer Luckey did try and kind of quell the giant mass that's kind of forming to force him out of Oculus, saying, "I am deeply sorry that my actions are negatively impacting the perception of Oculus and its partners. The recent news stories do not accurately represent my views." And then it goes on to say that the $10,000 he donated were because of the fresh ideas on how to communicate with young voters that Nimble America appeared to be offering. So in other words, he pretty much donated $10,000 to Nimble America because he liked their ideas of how to communicate with the youth, which in that case, I call total bullshit. It's in the same way that people support Trump. Most people that support Trump don't support him because he is a good public speaker.
We have losers. We have losers. We have people that don't have it.
They support him because they align with his views. Now, on top of that, it looks like developer support for the Oculus Rift has started to kind of decline because of these recent findings that Palmer Luckey donated $10,000 to Nimble America. Scrutta Games, famous for Computer Janitor VR, Transporter Room 3, and Closer Than Infinity, in addition to Tomorrow Today Labs, which made Newton VR and Subject 107, have said that they are not going to continue to support Oculus Rift until Palmer Luckey is no longer associated with the brand itself, which is something that is pretty big. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I've never heard of either of these development teams before, which probably means they are not make it or break it scenarios for the Oculus Rift. If their support for their games doesn't come to the Rift, people aren't going to be necessarily, up in arms about it. That being said, just because of the position of the Oculus Rift in the entirety of virtual reality right now, it needs all of the help it can get, because you have the HTC Vive, which by all means is leading in the virtual reality space race that we've kind of got going on right now. And then next month, we're seeing the introduction of PSVR to the masses, which means there's probably going to be a larger casual adoption of VR technology over the course of the next couple of months, and you're going to see Oculus Rift trying to play a game of catch-up, and have these games not coming to the Rift is already kind of a thorn in their side. Now, on top of all of that, if developers do see they have to port over to the Rift, they can definitely use this as an excuse not to put in that extra work, not to put in that extra funding, and just kind of stop support for it altogether, which would definitely mean the end of the Rift. So one big question remains, what is going to happen to the Oculus Rift? Is it done? Is this the beginning of the end? What does this mean for the piece of technology? And what I think is going to happen with the Oculus Rift, and of course this is just my prediction, is that since the company Oculus was bought by Facebook back in 2014, I think big old Marky Zuckerberg is going to make this thing a development foundation for VR technology and VR apps, because you can definitely use it to make stuff for the Samsung Gear VR, the Google Cardboard, the PSVR, and the HTC Vive. Perhaps, who knows what's going to come out over the course of the next couple of years, but I think the technology could definitely be used that way. Now, will Palmer Luckey be included in this future with Oculus Rift? That is still yet to be determined, but with this kind of association, it's starting to look a little bit more bleak for the guy. So there you guys have it. I hope you have enjoyed this breakdown of what's going on with Palmer Luckey and the $10,000 donation. Sounds like some kind of Harry Potter book. But if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like down below and share it on Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, Instagram, YouNow, whatever you might use. Get my name out there. Share the channel with your friends. And if you've never seen any of my other content, I do upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week, depending on the week. So there's always something new right here on the channel when you drop by to watch some videos. But as for right now, I'm going to go clean this mechanical keyboard. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.